If you enjoy emotional stories filled with unexpected twists, powerful second chances, and unforgettable endings, subscribe to the channel and join our growing family. Every story reminds us that kindness can change a life when we least expect it. Marcus Hale adjusted the worn backpack on his shoulder as he hurried through the crowded international airport with his 8-year-old daughter Lily holding tightly to his hand. Every dollar he had saved during the past 6 months had gone toward this trip. He wasn't flying on vacation. He wasn't chasing a dream. He was racing against time. His father, whom he hadn't seen in nearly 12 years, had suffered a massive stroke in the small mountain town of Black Ridge. The hospital had called only hours earlier, warning Marcus that if he wanted to say goodbye, he needed to arrive before sunrise. As a single father working double shifts as an auto mechanic, Marcus rarely asked anyone for help. Life had taught him to survive quietly. The departure lounge buzzed with wealthy travelers, executives, and celebrities. Marcus felt out of place in his faded brown jacket and scuffed boots, but none of that mattered. Only one thing mattered: reaching Black Ridge before it was too late. Standing a few feet away was Evelyn Carter, one of the youngest self-made billionaires in America. Founder of a global medical technology company, she was preparing to board her private flight for an international investors' conference expected to secure billions in funding. Her assistants answered non-stop phone calls while security kept curious travelers at a distance. Marcus had no idea who she was. Looking around for information, he noticed Evelyn checking a digital airport map. "Excuse me," he asked politely. "Could you tell me which terminal has the fastest connection to Black Ridge?" Evelyn turned, expecting another fan asking for a photograph. Instead, she saw a tired father holding a little girl's hand. "Black Ridge?" she repeated. Marcus nodded. "My father is dying there. I received the call this morning." Evelyn's confident expression suddenly disappeared. Black Ridge. She hadn't heard that name in almost 20 years. It was the same forgotten mountain town where her mother had worked as a volunteer doctor before losing her life during a devastating snowstorm while trying to rescue patients trapped in a clinic. Evelyn whispered almost to herself. "What hospital?" "St. Matthew's Community Hospital." Her heart skipped. The very hospital built because of her mother's sacrifice. Before Marcus could thank her for the directions, Evelyn looked toward her waiting pilots. "Cancel my flight." Her assistant froze. "I'm sorry, cancel what?" "My flight. The investors are already waiting." "I said cancel it." Everyone nearby stared in disbelief. Her chief executive assistant stepped closer. "Ms. Carter, delaying today's conference could cost the company hundreds of millions." "I'll survive." She looked back at Marcus. "I'm taking you there." Marcus blinked. "You don't even know me." "No," she answered softly. "But I know exactly where you're going." Within minutes, airport employees rushed to prepare Evelyn's private jet. Marcus repeatedly refused. "I can't accept something this expensive." Lily tugged gently on his sleeve. "Dad, maybe she's supposed to help us." Evelyn smiled at the little girl. "Sometimes life sends strangers for a reason." As they boarded the sleek aircraft, Marcus still couldn't understand why one of the richest women in the country would abandon an international business meeting for someone she had met less than 10 minutes earlier. But Evelyn stared quietly through the cabin window toward the mountains in the distance. She wasn't thinking about business anymore. She was remembering promises she had never fulfilled. Meanwhile, unknown to everyone on board, a lawyer waiting inside St. Matthew's Hospital had been searching desperately for both Marcus Hale and Evelyn Carter. Because hidden inside an old sealed envelope was a document connecting both families in a way either of them could possibly imagine. The flight toward Black Ridge had begun. Neither Marcus nor Evelyn realized that by the time they landed, both of their lives would be changed forever. The private jet landed just before sunset as dark clouds gathered over the mountains surrounding Black Ridge. An ambulance waited beside the small regional airport, having been arranged by Evelyn's team during the flight. Marcus held Lily's hand as they climbed inside, while Evelyn followed without saying a word. The quiet drive through the winding road stirred memories she had buried for years. Every familiar landmark reminded her of the mother she had lost, and the promise she had never kept, to return and finish the work her mother had started. When they reached St. Matthew's Community Hospital, an elderly attorney named Richard Collins rushed toward them, his face filled with relief. "I've been trying to find both of you all day," he said. Marcus looked confused. "Both of us?" Richard nodded. "Your father asked me to bring you together before it was too late." Inside the hospital room, Marcus's frail father lay connected to medical equipment. Though weak, his eyes brightened the moment he saw his son and granddaughter. With trembling hands, he reached for Marcus. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I should never have left you." Years of pain filled the room, yet Marcus saw only a frightened old man running out of time. He squeezed his father's hand. "We're here now. That's what matters." Tears rolled down the old man's face as he looked toward Evelyn. "You have your mother's eyes," he said softly. Evelyn stepped closer, shocked that he recognized her instantly. Richard carefully opened a weathered envelope that had remained sealed for nearly 20 years. Inside were handwritten letters and legal documents revealing an extraordinary truth. Years earlier, when Evelyn's mother struggled to keep the rural hospital open, Marcus's father had donated his family's mountain land without asking for anything in return. That land became the foundation on which St. Matthew's Hospital was built. To repay his kindness, Evelyn's mother secretly established a charitable trust that invested steadily for decades. The trust had grown into hundreds of millions of dollars, but its beneficiaries could not receive the funds until both families were found together. Evelyn stared at the documents in disbelief. "My mother never told anyone." Richard smiled sadly. "She believed kindness should never be performed for recognition." Marcus immediately shook his head. "I don't want money. I only came to see my father." Evelyn looked at him with admiration. "That's exactly why you deserve every blessing coming your way." The attorney explained that the trust required both families to decide together how the fortune would be used. Marcus looked around the aging hospital with its outdated equipment and exhausted nurses. Then he looked at Lily, who was smiling while coloring pictures beside her grandfather's bed. Finally, he turned to Evelyn. "Let's rebuild this hospital instead. Expand it so no family has to travel hours for treatment. Use whatever remains to create scholarships for children who lose a parent." Evelyn smiled through tears. "That's exactly what my mother would have wanted." Months later, construction crews transformed St. Matthew's into one of the most advanced rural medical centers in the country. Marcus became director of the hospital's Community Outreach Foundation while continuing to mentor young mechanics through a free vocational program. Evelyn invested billions into rural healthcare, inspired by the father who had asked her for nothing more than directions. Marcus's father lived long enough to see the first new hospital wing open. Holding Lily's hand, he smiled proudly before peacefully passing away surrounded by the family he thought he had lost forever. At the dedication ceremony, Evelyn stepped onto the stage beside Marcus and looked at the crowd gathered from every corner of Black Ridge. "One simple question changed everything," she said. "A father asked for directions, but he unknowingly led all of us home." The audience rose in a standing ovation as Lily unveiled the bronze plaque reading, "Kindness always finds its way back." Marcus looked toward the mountains, grateful that compassion had turned strangers into family and heartbreak into hope. Sometimes the greatest journeys begin with nothing more than asking the right person for directions. Before you leave, remember to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with someone who believes that kindness, forgiveness, and family can still change the world.